Blessings once again. Welcome forward to Reasonings right at the Tree of Life. And in this case, we are actually here at the Tree of Life. I'm your host, the Great Owl, with Brother Ramon Singh, in the presence of my wife Victoria and Galawas, the lone Galawas, original Tree of Life as well. And in this moment, we're giving thanks for our health, wealth, and divine well-being. And our offering will be on health and spirituality. That sounds deep. But before we even get into that, I want to tell you about a wonderful, awesome partnership between Wizio.com and Tree of Life Television, where we do mini online sessions at a nominal cost. And we leave the link in the description box so you can have personalized sessions on questions, ideas, desires you have for well-being and health, and also just the essence of understanding the divine light within, how to truly be happy, and our mini healing session. So that's on Wizio.com/Tree of Life Television Network. You can go and check us out. As I say, we leave a link in the description, and you can have your personalized video response with the Great Owl. So that being said, let's get forward to the reasoning at hand: health and spirituality.
Perfect love.
Perfect love, Brother Ramon. So, Brother Ramon, health and spirituality. People would say spirituality is health, health is spirituality. How do you see it?
Well, you don't know in terms of health. Because you don't know everybody want to be healthy. You see me? But what is true spiritual healthiness? You see me? And same with physical healthy.
So how do we really achieve, I guess, the spiritual health and the physical health? So I would say it is spirituality that is health, and health is spirituality. So how do I break it down? Number one, states of mind enact in states of being. Before we get into the deeper part, we want to apologize for the loud background noises, because we're actually at Tree of Life, and as nature has brought us to this, you know, we've been going through a very heavy times where the weather is concerned. So, you know, this is just like one of the beautiful moments amidst some of the most chaotic scenes. Health is spirituality, spirituality is health. Starting with your state of mind, your state of being. The consciousness that you carry tends to manifest as the experience you're having. You know, there are lots of brilliant people in the world. So I'm not talking about like it's an intellectual based premise, like, oh, because I'm smart, I would know what are the microbiotic nutrients to absorb into my biomass and to function within this kind of a biological construct of what health is. But then we understand also that there's a psychological to what you consume. Like, people consume based upon belief systems, attitudes towards what they think is the optimum health. Now, a lot of times it's not just rooted in what I call the actual biology of the individual. It's rooted in ideological premise based upon best practices that has been given to us. Now, some of these best practices are generational and should be considered. Why do I think they should be considered? Because your genetics have been made up of these particular alignment of biological matter going into your family's biology and into their way of life. So it literally is a part of the genetic makeup. Yeah, it's a part of the family genome, thank you. And so it's to me now integral in your experience to understand how your generations have eaten, how they have consumed, right? And how the consummation of energy as food, as thought forms and behaviors come together as wholeness of health. So I do know there's a collective. Not that I'm a modernist. It's just that when I look at health, I'm realizing that lots of individuals go to the doctors to talk about misalignment, dis-ease, discomfort, which is really bad practices and functionalities, right? Sometimes incurred because of behaviors promoted by the society. They told you to eat and to act this way, and it made you unhealthy, right? And you go to the doctors and they are promoting health based upon a design structure. That is just like a standard based upon vague interpretation that almost always isn't specific to individuals, because it's a broad stroke for all. And so then when you eat from the recommended diet, right, and daily intakes of calories and such, you are not being honest to your desire for nutrients and for your body to be sustained and energized by what you're eating. Now, why would I say health is spirituality? Because if you find who you are, how you are, by understanding how you think and how you act, where you are in life, your desires to be, whatever it is that is your outlook. When you find that, I'm also saying that will determine how you feed the body, how you feed the mind. That determines how you live where energy and food is concerned. You cannot separate it. So take veganism for an example. We're not talking about vegetarian, we're talking about veganism. We have ital culture in Jamaica that was before the popular notion of veganism, right? But ital not only suggests not eating animal products, it says don't wear animal products. It says don't wear products that are made from animals. It says don't put on your skin, ladies and man, in your ear, things that are tested on animals. Ital means your clothes must not come from the destroying of an animal's life. And so vegan is not just about how you eat. It has to be lifestyle. And so when I say spirituality is health and health is spirituality, that's what I mean. And that has to be now, in this context, an individual's decision to know one's body, to know one's being, know how to nourish one's being, know what really gives one's being energy to be able to be present and function. Brother Ramon, your takes on these matters of, health and spirituality, or even health has spirituality.
Yeah, man. I will first start with the food. I don't know organic is the best thing. So, what we find, it would be best if you can plant your own food. So you can know exactly what the food are going to produce and give to you. You see me? If you feed the plant poison, we go to the supermarket. We say we want to live healthy. We take up one bag of cabbage, you see me? Pak chai and kalaloo, sweet pepper, everything, But in order for the farmer produce that quality produce, them have to spray it. And spray it with what? Not organic sprays. They must spray it with some fertilizer and pesticides. Because they want them food for proper and big and strong and look healthy. And they want them food not to be eaten by pests. You see me? So we I try pre-healthy. Go buy the one bag of poison food. It full up with so much chemical was spray upon it. Not even insect want to bite it. So if me I buy something from the market, if insect not bite it, me don't want it.
I love that, Brother Ramon.
You see me?
You're talking deep right there, brother.
Yeah, man. Because the insect not touch it, that means me not to touch it.
So then, that is an ideology in food then. That, are we talking about, one, efficacy in food production, whether it's ethical or not. Two, what the end user sees as nutritious, that is seeing what is nutritious versus tasting what is nutritious. So let me look at one first, the seeing and tasting of nutrition. Now, I know what you're talking about. Advertisements have become the representation of most things. So advertisers use their platform to promote like health, food culture. And so let's look at the food culture because that's what I'm getting from you. These waxed fruits, these pesticide-based foods, these modified organisms already have gone out of the efficacy of nature. So first of all, food based upon a visual appeal could not be the just reason to have food. Food based upon functionality of being, that's the reason to have food. But with these advertisers promoting food in the desire of the visual, it's changing what we expect of a banana to be spotless, to be basically lab constructed for a visceral, a visual, versus for the actual natural 432 megahertz of the circadian, that which is sequenced in the divine genome of what the plant, plasmata, and the plasmoda in human beings are. They are synchronized. That's why the food, as I'm here with was always reminds me that each crop in each season mitigates the pathogens in each season, like the flus and so forth. It comes naturally, but if you put pesticides and tamper with the natural processes, you are creating an artificial outcome. So that is one thing to do with food as it's visually presented versus how it actually tastes. Now, when there is a philosophy around food. How food is produced, that's the next part.
Yeah.
Because there is this dynamic of what the market desires. And the market is supposed to drive this demand on goods and produce. So the farmers, in the organic sense, are not able, according to an artificial design mechanism, produced to satisfy that artificial demand. And that is a lot of the reasons why pesticides, modified organisms, are being fed to humans as palatable and healthy because of an artificial market system.
Yeah,
yes,
man.
it is a capitalist
Yes,
system,
sir.
was, right? So we have capitalism designing for us how we should eat, one in the psychology of food, telling us that we should eat what looks attractive and appealing and a visual. Yeah, telling us, yeah, basically what is healthy. Right? Yeah, so essentially, as was is saying, they're distorting the natural version of health. And so now when the farmers go and now farm for this ideology,
Yeah, man.
this is one of the things that I think is the issue. That when you say if you have to see nature like the worms in it, it means it's actually organic, not the ideology. No. So I want you to get what I'm saying and what Brother Ramon is saying. I'm saying organic is also an ideology and a philosophy. I'm talking about something that you can go and plant with the seeds that were yielded from the fruit you just consumed. Is that possible with modified organism? Is that possible in the capitalist structure of food production and the end user and the end consumer of food production? That is why artificial products are being produced as natural products. That's what's leading to unhealthiness. Brother Ramon say, farm the food yourself. Marcus Garvey says self-reliance is the highest science, right? Right? So we got to go back to the natural heirloom seeds then, to be able to ensure that what we have been eating and is also planting have been planted for the last 1,000, 5,000, 2,000, 3,000 years. That we can assure based upon epigenetics and the genetical structure and in the genome of how we have grown as living organisms in our various cultures. For that to be maintained, it's best we eat the produce that our ancestors, hallelujah, have been eating for all this time. Brother Ramon, your continuation on health and spirituality.
I remember a couple of years ago, some of my brethren them are raw food eaters, strictly raw. You see me? For years them raw. And them must say I do a journey go Mobile. And them must stop on one fruit man. Buy some fruit. And them get poison, end up in a hospital, sick for weeks. Just because them eat some fruit on the roadside. Them a try to live good, you know?
Yes.
But them take the wrong fruit. Can look like the person who sell the fruit vendor the fruits.
Yes.
Him probably steal it at the wrong part
Basiri.
where the pesticide strong,
Yes.
you know? And the vendor don't know that and him buy the thing and I sell it to people. And people end up get sick. My brethren them get sick for weeks, end up in a hospital. Them have to pump them belly and them thing there. Flush them. Poison in them system. And them a try to live healthy.
Unethical practices in food production. Again, to satisfy an artificial design system of what is supply and demand. I mean, so then, why spirituality now becomes the most essential part? Because we are presenting you information that is for your due consideration in how you consume. So it's not just to see a beautiful orange or pear or apple and say, and say that it is healthy just because it looks appealing. Now you have to know where it was farmed, who are the farmers, right?
Sorry for cutting you.
No, man,
I appreciate we'll go back to Adam and Eve status. Remember, say God created Adam to be a gardener, you know,
Yes.
for the Garden of Eden.
Yes.
You see me? To tend to the garden. So me I say, as people living on earth, we need to do little gardening for ourselves. You see me? Farm our own food.
Farm what you eat.
By the sweat of your brow, so
shall-
shall you eat bread.
Yeah.
You see me? We have to do little farming. So the physical exercise come in now. You see, countryman, now if you go gym, you know this.
Absolutely.
You have a mountain to walk up every day.
True,
You see me?
true.
That's your gym.
True.
When you have to walk up every step.
Absolutely.
that get you fit.
Absolutely.
You see me?
Absolutely.
So if we try even get into the country status again, you see me, have something to do outside. You know? Have some work.
Yeah. Producing your food organically, the real organic, not the political organic, right?
Yes, sir.
But to really naturally then produce your own food.
Yeah,
right?
man.
To literally start, because we know people don't always have the backyards or the country space like we're talking about. I know that you have some ideas on hydroponics, but I'm telling you, try to find the most organic means and methodology to farm your own food. You can do potting style in the backyard, on your porch, on your patio. Believe it or not, a potato or radish can grow in a 12-inch pot. Believe it or not, that's right there in your patio getting residual and sometimes direct sunlight. So what we're talking about does not only fit the idea of the third world society system, right? Oh, you know, you guys are in, you know, Jamaica and there's always this vast amount of land. I'm here in Manhattan, I'm paying $3,000 for my apartment. I barely can keep a cactus out on my little porch that's about this wide. But we're saying that very same space can be utilized with those same hydroponic techniques that use the natural stuff to grow vegetables. You can grow your lettuces, you can grow radishes, you can grow carrots, right? I'm not joking, people. You can, in plastic bottles on your porch, right? In your little corner space that you probably have some work of art that you're not using in a damp area that gets sunlight for 2 hours a day, you can actually make one of these plastic bottle racks, put some earth, put inside some natural hydro stuff in it, and you can have your own vegetable garden right there in your apartment. And here's the trick, Brother Ramon, and this is spirituality. It cleans the air. It filters the air.
Yeah, man.
That is the next thing about green vegetation in your living environment. It filters carbon dioxide out of your air and replenishes your air with oxygen. The spirituality of what you eat being a part of how you are, right? That you live this life, you add to this life, and you are added from this life. You take from the well springs of life and you add to the well springs of life. Organic existence, natural existence, Ita living, Rastafari natural style, Jamaican style, Aboriginal style. Yeah, our great grandparents taught us how to eat and how to live. Their genes made us up. Their living genes made us up. That means that the whole methodology and dynamics is inside of us. Some people say we are inspired. What are you inspired from? From that which already exists. Yeah, and you come into contact with it. And that contact is literally being very careful of what you consume, making a lifestyle out of not just to consume, but the every consideration in the every process is not just the food, but how you live, right? And how you live coming together as what you consume. Blessings, yeah. So as you know, Wass is talking on the side as well too, we kind of, you know, sharing the information as well too. And so Wass is talking about the toxicity of the food. Like this called the chemicals that you know that they are putting into the food, right?
Yeah, man.
And it's basically adding to a more physicalized experience, because it's basically, many people don't necessarily understand it in the way that we understand it, but what nutrients goes into the body adds to the whole body's dynamic. And so things go into the body that basically make it go contrary to its own design. And so when unhealthy things go into the body destroys into the being, it destroys the spirituality. So it makes you a lot denser, right? And brings on a lot of the human melee in terms of the disease, you know, and also just bad feelings, you know, indigestion, you understand me? Because biochemically, your body is unable to process it, you know, and it affects the aura, because if you are out of alignment for a long period of time, it not only sicks the physical body, but it basically affects the spiritual, the internal. The very reason and purpose as to your presence here, people start lose the happy moods, they get somber, right? So the food toxins and the hormonal toxins now in the food begin to overwhelm. Tristan would always say, you know, people got to be very conscious about how they distribute, you know, the energy in their body. Because people don't realize that energy distribution in the body is also conscious, right? So you are reminding us, Brother Ramon, of how the food is created, and I'm reminding people of the whole psychology of what is said to be healthy, right? And it has to come to the individual. The individual got to know their biochemistry, their biomakeup, and their astral makeup and their cosmic makeup, to be able to know exactly what type of foods, energies to consume, yeah, and who you trust to produce that for you, right?
Yeah,
Brother Ramon, Any more points you want to bring forward just on the essence of health and spirituality, because now we're seeing that the two are like dynamically interwoven.
Well,
for real.
We want to highlight the Bible now. Because at a certain point after the flood, Father said, alright, you can consume meat. You see me? There's some meat eating coming in, You see me? And further on, him show you which meat clean and which one unclean. You see me? And then further on in the reading,
kosher and halal.
him show you say all creatures are made from God. All creatures are good. You see me? Him say from you pray over it, bless it. You see me? That will make it clean. You see me? Because I must say, what if you go to your neighbor's house and the neighbor make meat for you and you don't eat meat? You see me? The Father said, bless it and pray over it. You see me? And it will go clean for you consume. You see me?
But you know what? Lots of people who, biochemistry again, have been genetically trained to be vegan, to be ital.
Yeah, man.
For them, they wouldn't necessarily be able to process. No, I do understand what faith is, that naturally, even within ritualistic practices, there are vegans who, when they have to go to a certain level of a ritual, in our culture we're talking about, the culture has as a meat offering, as a partari of the process, of the initiation.
Yeah, man.
And those who do not take the meat, obviously not initiated, right, for those practices. So beyond the ritualistic and the spiritual in that context, biochemically, a lot of people who are meat eaters have a different biochemistry in terms of just the functionality.
Yeah, man.
Right?
Yeah, man. Like even me.
From the vegetarians or from the vegans.
You
right?
see, me can't eat beef. If I eat beef, I get upset and just want to vomit. If I eat pork, because one time I taste pork, because I grew up as an Adventist. You know, Adventists don't eat pork.
Absolutely.
You see me? But later on in our life, my cousin make me taste it. And I feel like I vomit when I taste the thing and I say, them something I know for eat.
Yes.
It and beef, it does make me have a upset feeling. Some red meat thing, I don't like red meat. So as I say, everybody have to know them biochemistry and know what's good for them and what's not good for them.
True.
You
and
see me?
The next thing about it is too, how is the animals, for those who are meat eaters, to be balanced, how are the animals being produced that are being slaughtered for meat? Because it's the same thing with the organic produce.
Exactly.
That the toxins in the animals, and they're pumping them full of this artificial growth hormone to fit again an artificial yield complex based upon a market design.
Yeah, man.
Right?
So the meat full of chicken, the chicken full of chemicals.
Yes,
the meat full of chemicals.
It's like plasma.
You see, we see them as the vegetable and the fruits, the banana, the mass-produced ones.
Yes.
You see me?
Yes. Traditional.
Full of chemical.
Traditional homestead.
Yeah.
Traditional farming. That is one of the things that we have to be promoting.
Yeah, man. If a man grow his own goat over there, so he might know what the goat eat, you know?
Absolutely.
And him can make him curry goat and him manage water out of that. You see me? But you don't know me, I say what the Bible say about meat.
Yes.
I know what me I say about meat, you know?
Yes, I understand.
I just say what the Bible say. You see me? And them things that the Bible has said, that's why I say I touch upon the Bible little now. You see me?
So we definitely understand about the blessing it and the eating it.
Yeah, man.
But we just don't make the differentiation about the biochemistry, because, I mean, I do know also that if you're in an isolated situation, your psychology changes based upon how long you're isolated. So, for those scientific minds who's about to jump on Ramon, or just who are vegans who didn't like the statement, the fact of the matter is, if you're in an isolated situation long enough, and if you're a meat eater, and there's no access to meat, you're going to eat all that you have access to, which is the plant life, right? Next thing too, don't you know the reverse? Solid way is also true. You don't want to believe it, do you? You need to be isolated for a long enough period of time, and all you see is wild boars running around. You're going to develop a taste for that. If you're not going to survive, and maybe, maybe they're thinking of that way.
Like the African them with the rat, the bush rat.
Yes.
You know the bush rat are big, so.
Yeah.
Big like.
That's bigger than a chicken, right?
Yeah, bigger than a chicken. And the bush rat and them off them farming thing. So what them start catch them and eat them.
Let's have population control. But that's a good.
And now it's a delicacy over there.
Sure.
It's hard to find bush rat now.
But that's a good totally off topic. But you get what we're saying. What you consume is part of your spiritual existence. And how you think about yourself ultimately comes out in how you eat. Right? And if it's not so as yet, meaning you do not understand this part of it, it's just a part of your growth and development that in due course you will approach and you will come to. You might truly not be a meat eater, you might truly be a vegan. Be careful of what you consume. There are lots of vegan junk and vegetarian junk being produced as healthy meals, as shakes, as all these things that are mixing the wrong compounds together, that is getting all this protein out of balanced anabolics into the body.
Like all soy. No people don't know the harmfulness of soy, you know. You see me? And how it affects females. Just do a little research. How soy harmful to females, especially females.
And what's it reminding us? To the quantity and how it is produced. Again, we understand if the soybean is produced organically, the yield will be natural. But with the artificial, you know, GMOs and all the chemical stuff, then we know where we're going. So just to step forward into the next understanding of how we deal with this is to remind you, it is in your power. Do not let advertising use the visual concept of what food appears, how it appears appealing to suggest it is healthy and nutritious. It's just like the complex of seeing off naked women or topless man for the ladies as being attractive when they're selling you a box of pencils. What the heck does it have to do with pencil? What does the visual have to do with health and nutrition? The little blemish and the little spots on it is because nature knows it is healthy and has approved it. That's why. Because it means that other creatures that occupy this cosmos recognize this is food.
Because when you see a bird eat from a fruit in the tree,
Sacred.
You know, it's the sweetest fruit that.
Oh, you mean. We know that. We know that. So until next time, just reminding you to be healthy and happy in the things you consume, the way you are about what you consume and how you live that experience, right? That energy is in all things entangled. Get the right energy into your physical, into your cosmic being. Live with a wholeness of mind, soundness of spirit, and actuality will be good. You will overcome those with dis-ease and disharmony when you figure out what is uncomfortable in what you're consuming. It's not really just that what goes in, but also it's part of it. So remember to be careful with what you consume. Health and spirituality is one and the same. Be healthy, be spiritual, be wise. Glory to Yeshua Mashiach, to the nature of the living cosmos, the great owl right here at Tree Alive, Reasons at the Tree Alive, with Ramon Singh and Victoria, my wife, and Lone Galawas in the side ground, just holding the energy as always back in the days. You will come forward again. Until next time, love, blessings. Remember your awesome, healthy gift in the spiritual, in the now. Yourself, your community, your family, your nation state, and here your Aboriginal heritage and destiny.
Perfect love.
Perfect love, brother.
Blessing.
Perfect love.
Perfect love.
Yes, I.